I think where I'm stuck is, I think for me, right now in life, I think work uh, has kind of taken priority over everything else. In a way, I've kind of realized that that's not, with passing age and with growing older, I've realized that's not the right thing to do, and it's also, I think, coming at the cost of health.
Right.
But I think, despite knowing this, you can't seem to get out of it, or can't seem to
Correct.
take
Correct.
take
Correct.
steps to get out of it.
Correct. Okay,
Uh,
understood. Understood.
yeah. So
So
I
this
think
is
that's
what
where
we
I am.
call,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is what we call the knowledge gap. I'll tell you what
Yeah.
the knowledge gap is. Some people also call it the implementation gap, which is that you know something is required,
Yeah.
but you can't get yourself to do it.
Yes.
That
Yes.
there is a story in the Mahabharata where somebody points out to Duryodhana, that generally, I mean, all these things are not done. And Duryodhana says, obviously, I know that, but I can't be that. So that is in a different tangent altogether. But there are so many of us who understand that we need to create time for these other aspects of life, including me, a decade earlier. But in spite of knowing it, somehow you use the word getting started,
Yeah.
so that getting started is where the hassle is. So I'm going to give you a pointer. The pointer is this. Yeah, and rather than a pointer, let me ask you,
Yeah.
okay, just tell me yes or no that my question is this, that uh, are you working because you have not yet gathered enough financial freedom for yourself, or are you working because you seem to have simply developed a habit of working or overworking?
It's the first one.
Is the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where the entrepreneur angle comes, that they have a little more leverage,
Yeah.
in terms of, yeah. So if it is the former, then I'm going to be honest with you that
Yeah.
whatever I'll share with you will work only 50%, because that pressure of having to earn enough soon enough prior to whatever landmark year you have in your mind, is a real pressure, and I want to honor that pressure. I'm one of those very realistic coaches. I'm not going to tell you that that pressure doesn't make sense and all.
True.
So now let us understand that we honor that constraint, and keeping that constraint in mind, let me highlight this other aspect to you. Okay, see, as for human expenses, so I'll share a quick story with you. My daughter is 11, and a friend of ours suggested a science class for her, which cost 75,000 for 30 sessions. Okay, this is only a 3-day old thing. So we were contemplating, it's not that we can't afford or anything, but we were just contemplating, should we, on an 11-year-old, should we spend so much? And then I and my wife came to the conclusion that it is like, this expense is, if you have money, then you make the expense of 75,000 for 30 sessions,
Yeah.
for something like maths. Okay. But if you don't have money, then it is not an expense at all. So I have noticed with lots of people, whether entrepreneurs or executives, you being in the latter category, we kind of tend to make our life a little complex by assuming that many of these expenses that we incur are required.
True.
I can tell you that, including me, I mean, very early in my life, I chose to downshift. It's another thing that God blessed me with enough abundance later. But I chose to downshift my lifestyle when I realized that there is this story of Socrates. He goes to a market and he's very happy. So somebody asks him, "Why are you happy?" And Socrates says, "Wow, this market is full of things that I do not need." He's so happy that the market is full of things that he does not need. So I
True.
invite you to look at this perspective. Sometimes I'm just guiding intuitively. I can gauge your energy, and based on that, I'm giving you an intuitive guidance. Being
Yeah.
spiritually trained, I just need some data points, but some of them is just intuitive guidance, which comes across often as the right guidance for the right person. So I invite you to look at this angle that, can you choose to downshift in life, wherein there's so many expenses we kind of take up, but many of them are just to maintain our lifestyle. We say that, but actually they are to keep up with the Jonases, or we want the child to go in the same school as we consider successful people could be going, or we want to go for holidays again simply because successful people go there. So all of this just puts up into some kind of trap. It's a huge entrapment. I'm not saying all of it is. All of us have a right to luxury, to abundance, but quite often 50% of the things are quite entrapping. Somebody told me a very interesting sentence. Socialites we normally believe that socialites make every expense, every pleasure, regardless of the expense. But the truth is that socialites make every expense regardless of the pleasure. So even if that expense is painful in some ways, still they have to keep up with the rest of the peer group.